good morning, everybody. Really excited to have a special Freedom Team interview today. I'll be introducing you in a few moments. It's not too big a secret, considering we've been promoting the fact that this is a big deal. It's a big deal for the 3,000 agents that are part of the Freedom Team to be able to level up, is the way I'd like to look at it. We took somebody that's part of our organization and asked her respectfully to join our leadership group. So now the 5 people that have been sort of leading the Freedom Team will become 6. And I can't think of a more qualified and more enjoyable partner than Stephanie Gilezan. And we'll introduce Stephanie in just a moment. But I do want to welcome everybody. If you've not been to one of our interviews, we do these once a month or so with an EXP executive or icon or mega agent. And we're going to talk to Stephanie today about some things related to the industry and the Freedom Team. But you're going to hear that Stephanie has an incredible commercial background. In fact, she was the director over here doing things with EXP when we launched EXP Commercial. And we're going to do a private conversation, again, over the next month or two, specifically talking about EXP Commercial. So if you have any commercial agents, you might want to get them this information. This will be recorded, of course, and you definitely want to get them connected to what we do when we bring Stephanie back for that specific EXP commercial conversation. But let's start with this. Hello, Miss Stephanie Gilezan. How are you today?
I am on fire, like always. So thank you for having me here. And I'm excited for everybody to join.
Yeah, well, for those of us that have not, you're all part of the Freedom Team, which is why you're here today. Again, we're about 3,000 agents from 5 or 6 leaders, 48 states, 8 countries, and constantly growing. And the first thing I want everybody to know is we got your back. Many of you are now getting emails on a weekly basis, now a daily basis from the leadership. We're letting you know tips of the day, but we're also letting you know that we're here for you. So if you ever have any questions and you can't get a hold of the person that sponsored you or the person that sponsored them, don't hesitate to reach out to one of the Freedom Team leaders. You can get us through Workplace Chat. I want to also remind you that Workplace is a wonderful place for all of our Freedom Team information. If you're not accustomed to go into the Freedom Team in Workplace, you're all a part of it. If not, reach out to one of the leaders. We'll make sure you're added. But the bottom line is that's where we put all of our content. That's also where you can ask us lots of questions. So it's a little micro society in all of Workplace, our 3,000 person island out of the 87,000. So I do want to encourage you to make sure that you open up the tips of the day that come in every day through email. Make sure you check Sunday when we have the entire schedule for the week. And lastly, I want to remind everybody that we have a brand new site. It's called freedomteamsupport.com. And on that is our monthly calendar, which again breaks down to weekly and daily calendar. But there's some great information there. We're going to touch on that. But I want to remind everybody that there is where, if you're bringing an agent in, you can have additional white glove onboarding through our group over and above what EXP does. And if you're finally deciding that you want your own leads, we now have a kvCore training program that I think is very, very stellar in its ability to help you master kvCore at a very, very reasonable cost. So check it all out at freedomteamsupport.com. Now that we've been through all the admin, we can get to the point at hand. I'm really excited to be able to announce our 6th leader to the Freedom Team group, Miss Stephanie Gilezan. And Stephanie comes with a long history. As many of us that know Stephanie know, she's not only the consummate professional, but there's a reason for that. She actually got her real estate license before she was legally allowed to drink. Notice how I said legally allowed to drink. But with that said, give you an idea that she's not just one that talks from stage about things that are hyperbole or thought processes, but she is an active, aggressive agent. I think she's done in the last year about $34 million, runs a team that did $58 million, has been an icon with us 3 times. When she first came to EXP, was actually the Kentucky designated managing broker. And again, she moved her highly successful brokerage completely into EXP. So she is all things real estate. Welcome, Miss Stephanie Gilezan.
Thank you, Eric. Excited to be here. Excited for everybody to, The reason why I was excited when the leaders, Kathy and Eric and Sean and Tim and Jeff reached out and said, we should really look at, doing something. It was because I had a conversation with Tim about how 2023, I've got a different goal this year. I've been in this business since 1999. I have built large organizations ever since, and I have built my business consistently climbing uphill. But what I want 2023 to mean for me and for all of you is that anything that I've learned, and I've learned from everyone that I surround myself with, right? I'm constantly learning, but I want to dump as much information, as many nuggets, let so many people into my head, because what I have found is it's not about what we know, it's the effort we're willing to give. It's the effort that we're willing to apply. It's the habits that we all begin to create, which is what equals success. When I got into this industry, like Eric said, I wasn't even legally allowed to drink. I did though, right? Don't tell anybody. But the thing is that majority of people looked at me and they said, you're never gonna make it in real estate. Who the heck's, you know what? I took every doubt and said, screw you, watch me. I knew nothing, you all. I knew nothing, but I knew I could work hard. I knew I was going to dedicate my time, and I knew I was going to put in that effort to be the best that I could be for the client I was trying to win. And also knowing how to pivot. And that's, I think we'll get into a whole lot today, but that's what it's about. 24 years in this industry, there is so much pivoting that I have done to remain and gain success that if you haven't thought about it, I want you to know about it. And that's because we are all in the Freedom Team. We're all EXP. We're all big one EXP family. But on top of that, we're the Freedom Team. And what the Freedom Team means is if we can share with one another exactly how we gain financial freedom, let's do it. That's why I'm here. So thank you all.
No, we're excited about it. You mentioned the word pivot. One of EXP's core values is being agile, the ability to pivot. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the market. Over the last 6 to 8 months, depending on where you live, the market has pivoted. It has shifted. And so we have to pivot and shift with it. Steph, what do you think is going on in the market right now? And what is the pivot that some of these people need to be aware of?
Well, here's the thing. When people say the market is getting hard, or it's getting bad, or no, it's not. This is the opportunity time. It's the opportunity time. And the reason why I know that is because, and I'm a storyteller too, you're going to learn that about me, but in 2009, I got into the business in 1999 for those that don't know. And, interest rates were 8.5%. Big whoop. That's what we knew, right? So today, interest rates being at what they are, big whoop. So what? We were all spoiled, right? But remember, if you put in the effort, now is the time to uncover the opportunity. And I had an agent in 2009. I owned my own brokerage at the time. I had an agent come to me in 2009, love her dearly. And she said, I don't know what I'm going to do to stay in the real estate business. I don't think I can pay my mortgage this month. And I'm sitting there looking at her, and I didn't offer her money. I didn't say, well, let me give you a loan, or let me pay your bills, or let me do this. I said, you know what? We're going to do something. We're going to master something. Why? Because we can. And so we launched an entire short sale campaign and ended up doing 400, 500, 600 in consistent years in closings thereafter. She never made more money than at the time she thought she wasn't going to be able to pay her mortgage, right? These are the things we're going to be talking about in 2023 here at the Freedom Team, is making sure that everybody's aware of what exists out there and how you can be that master pivoter.
Being a master pivoter, part of the issue here at EXP is we all know people change brokerages, Stephanie, because they're looking for something that they can't find where they are. So they move to EXP. one of the benefits of EXP is you can find everything here. One
Right.
of the problems with EXP is it's Costco, and you have to figure out where each of the things are. So talk briefly, you've been watching, you're part of the Freedom Team as a member, now we're elevating to as a leader. You've been watching this over the last year. What have you seen us do that has caused you now to say, you know what, now's a time for me to be able to add value from the top rather than just as a member of the team?
That's right. And here's the thing. We are what we surround ourselves with, right? Even I do every day wake up with this much energy. I do promise you that. But even I need a mindset change, right? There are days that I'm just like, oh my God. But I can jump on whether it's Eric's agent attraction trainings, whether it's Jeff's Tuesday trainings, whether we're all just on a Zoom masterminding and making each other better. It changes my mindset. It gets me completely fired up to conquer my next big thing or to conquer what I put on hold the previous day. And so when I get so excited about things, I make more money, period, right? Just because I plug in and engage, I make more money. How could you not when you get so freaking inspired every single day because Judy came to a call and contributed something that Stephanie Gilezan never even thought of, right? That is what this is about. The more you plug in and engage, the better off you're going to be, because knowledge is power, power is money, and having a team to collaborate with, which is another EXP core value, it's collaboration. We all win together when we're sharing with one another. And so that is the biggest why for me. That was the biggest why of why I took my independent brokerage and transitioned the entire thing into EXP back in 2018. I had been down that road before where I started my first brokerage, you all, when I was 21 years old. Who the heck joins a real estate broker when she's 21 years old? Somebody who had fire. I didn't know everything. I barely knew the first thing, but you know what? I had fire. I wanted to make sure that I came from the inspirational factor, and people latched on to me because they wanted to feel it too. Right? And so sometimes you need to come into these calls just to feel it too. You're going to be a better person for it. I grew that brokerage to 48 agents before I was 24 years old. And then a national brand, they found me. A national brand found me. And I thought if I bought into that brand, that then Stephanie Gilezan and Gilezan Realty was going to go from local to national or maybe even global. But what I found is one day I woke up, it was February 14th of 2008, and I was the most unhappy 29-year-old you would have ever met in your life, because I put my whole heart and soul into that organization, trying to elevate agents. And really what they were finding was that they didn't want to share anything. They didn't want to contribute because they were so scared that they were breeding their own competition. So that's my favorite thing about EXP, is that we're not each other's competitors, you all. We are each other's business partners. And that's why we are constantly doing things to elevate one another. So Eric, sorry if I went on a tangent there, but I think that is, that's that big why. And so when I sold out of a national brand, when I sold my portion, I had a quarter ownership in, and I'll tell you, it was a Keller Williams model, Keller Williams. And I sold it February 14th of 2008. And I went back to being independent because I was the only one ever contributing, right? So I thought, well, I'll just be independent. And then EXP. And now I have found exactly, why the name here, Gilezan Global, because that's exactly what we've become. Doing business in 37 different states, representing properties in 4 different countries, realizing the potential. We can all master our local market, and we can do it in many, many, many different ways. I wanted to have the ability to take what I knew and spread it throughout this country and throughout this globe. So when you ask me where my farmland is, it is this globe. And I want everybody to think that way. I get accused all the time, Stephanie, you think way too big. Why? Why are you scared to?
It's just thinking. I mean, the bottom line
It's
is
just thinking.
you're not going to achieve anything that you can't perceive. I mean, that's it. The vision always sort of comes first. And EXP, as I said before, EXP being as big as it is, there's lots of little things that you do a great job. And one of the things we're so thankful as you joining us as a leadership part of the Freedom Team is there are some areas within EXP that you focus on making sure your agents are aware of. We're just verticals within the industry. Because one
That's
of the biggest
absolutely
problems
right.
most people have is they don't have a real goal. They don't have a simple clarity into where they want to go. But I know some of the programs that you're going to add to what we're already promoting will be incredibly beneficial. You want to touch on some of the areas within EXP that some of these good people don't even really know exist for
Well,
them to create a vertical.
100%. And, there's a list of them, you all, but here's the thing, look at yourself and think about where am I, not maximizing my total ability to earn, right? And look at EXP's affinity program right now. If you've got residential agents on your team or you're a residential agent yourself, you should be express offer certified. You should be relo certified. You should be REO certified, because let me tell you something. I've got in this organization of Freedom Team, I love it when I get those text messages that said, "Thank you, Stephanie, for telling me to go get certified. I just got 3 listings," or "I got 2 buyers referred to me." There's those opportunities right in front of us. Let me tell you something. What's going to happen with the whole REO and all of that's going to be coming back as a huge. That is your opportunity to have additional listings, but you have to be plugged in and get certified to do those, right? I mean, just that alone is a huge amount. But this year, for those that are interested, if you want to engage and plug in, and even if you have no desire to do this, I want you to remember this for your team members or those agents that you're introducing to EXP. We're going to learn how you source judgments. We're going to learn how you source deficiencies right around you to where you can go and gain those off-market opportunities or get listings for yourself. That goes across the board, you all. That covers commercial real estate. It covers residential real estate. It covers business sales, right? And then let's tap on that, because I talk to people all the time that don't even realize that EXP commercial licensees have the ability to sell businesses. When I spoke at Sprint in Denver in November, just a couple months ago, I'm speaking to a gentleman, EXP, they closed 800 houses last year. I said, "John, that is amazing. I would never touch 800 houses in my, that's a lot." I said, "But let me ask you something. You have already gained the trust. They're already your client. Have you ever asked them what their business needs are, or if they own businesses, or what do they do for a living? Do they have a need for commercial real estate?" And John says, "But Stephanie, I don't want to learn that." I go, "I'm not asking you to learn that. I'm asking you to go right into your existing database and let them know that you have team members that service this. And because they trusted you with their big asset of their house, that they can trust you with the referral connection you can make with your EXP. Why not generate additional revenue on referral fees? Why not? We have amazing business brokers here at EXP Commercial. One of them's on the call today. He's phenomenal. But that's the ability there, is to look at every opportunity. This is what I love about this model. EXP pays me to be here. No, I don't have a corporate job. No, I don't get a paycheck, but EXP pays me to be here. Why? Because I get my cat back in stock, and my revenue share is bigger than any of our corporate executives' paycheck. That's the ability here. That's the ability here. So that's why EXP pays me to be here. We talk about those conversations. Well, he's at 100% brokerage. He'll never come. Well, who cares about 100%? EXP pays me a shit ton of money to be here. Let me show it to you. Let me explain that to you, right? Think of all of those opportunities.
The opportunity, it's funny you talk about that. You're talking about things that some agents that are here don't even know exist within our four walls or our world, which doesn't have walls at all. One of the things that I know, because you come from a construction kind of background, dealing a lot with that, is we're dealing right now with very interesting time with builders and developers.
That's right.
I have a brand new agent, not a brand new agent in real estate, but a brand new agent onboarding to EXP. She's been around the industry for about 4 years, and her specialty is working with builders. So there's a science to doing that. There's a science to working with developers. There's a science to working with areas that have model homes, right? Can you speak for just a minute about what kind of opportunity exists in just working with builders and developers? Because one of the things that people do is they listen to you speak and they go, oh my gosh, there's all this opportunity. What do I do first? So speak for the moment about builder developers, the kind of work that can be done, kind of income that can be made, and some of the steps that might be necessary to begin that process.
So I'm going to do this with a story. I told you all, I already disclosed I'm a storyteller. So I'm going to share this story because it's so important to exactly what Eric is wanting me to speak about. Back when I was 21 years old, brand spanking new to real estate, what I was trying to accomplish was I wanted to get into that world. I love dirt. My father owned a construction company. I understood what backhoes and bulldozers were, and I absolutely loved taking a piece of land and seeing it come to action. I did that in college. And so one of the things that I did is I paid attention and looked for the developer builders that were just doing tons of projects. And there was a gentleman, his name was Carl Cox, okay? And Carl Cox never, ever worked with a real estate agent. And everybody said, oh, he doesn't work with real estate agents. He doesn't work with real estate agents. I made it my mission to make sure that he was going to work with me. And so I constantly, now this is where grit, relentlessness, and effort pays off, okay? So I go to him and I explain, listen, I'm new to this industry, but here's what I have to offer. I went ahead and just told him I was new because he looked at me and the first thing he said, are you a kid? That's what he said, okay? So I had to just go ahead and tell him the truth. I was new, right? But I went back to him so many times and he would, no, I'm not paying commission. No, I'm not paying commission. And one day, it was like the 6th attempt that I showed up at his office and I said, let me tell you something. I get it. The answer has been no, and I know your answer is going to be no today. But here's what I'm going to do. I am going to break down that wall that you've built between us. And when I come through it, you and I are going to make piles of money and we are going to laugh all the way to the bank. He went, okay, we'll see about that. About a week later, he goes, where have you been? Because I normally would show up on Tuesdays. He says, where are you? I said, I couldn't do it today. He goes, what happened to you? I wanted him to reach out to me on that 7th attempt instead of me showing up, because what I ended up doing is he listed every development, every condo, every house, retail, strip centers, you name it. This guy was in commercial, he was in residential, he was everything development. He said, if you are going to take no from me that many times, you will keep going back to those buyers. You are who's going to get this sold. I showed him that I was willing to put in that effort, and he was willing to take the ride with me. In 2006, he passed away, and I had done over $800 million worth of real estate with that one person. And so what's important with developers and builders is one, you show them you've got the grit and you have got the ability to grind. Don't ever give up on the effort, and make sure you know everything that they've got going on. Make sure that you've toured through their properties. Make sure that you even contribute while you're touring through those properties. I would say, Carl, over there on Crestview Cove, it looked like your curbs were getting screwed up by that framer. You might ought to check that out. I gave little nuggets so that he knew I had been to those properties, so that he knew that I was truly not just picking up the phone and calling him, or not just getting in my car and driving to his office, but I was touring his sites like I was his superintendent. And I always complimented the construction. I always took nuggets from all these different properties because that proved that I had eyes there. You all, I'm a developer today, and I'm also a builder. And the biggest thing that I can say as a real estate agent, when you're showing a builder's property, keep your opinion to yourself if it's negative, and only contribute the positive and compliment them. And by doing that is by you showing up to that showing, making sure that builder understands by your compliments that you've seen their work before, that you're committed to the industry. But also, when your buyer shows up and you make the buyer introduction, you say, buyer, meet Stephanie Gilezan. She's built 400 homes, or whatever it is. And this is why I appreciate her work. And you're going to see that today. And make a compliment as to how they construct and how they build. I had an agent last week, and I told this story on Jay's mastermind last Tuesday. But I had 2 different showings on right now. What I have under construction, they're about $2 million and above. And this was a $2.2 million house. And this agent shows up to show her clients. And one of the first things out of her mouth was, she goes, "Is that real stone?" It was her tone and it was her doubt. Okay. Like, why would you even say that? Immediately the buyer was like, okay, this is weird. And honestly, she didn't have any rapport with me. She didn't get that sale. The next day, another agent comes to show that property. He's young. He's been in the business less than 2 years, and he was genius. He walks in, and it was almost like I coached him, but I didn't. He had the wherewithal and the knowledge to do this automatically. He walks in. He says, "It's so great to meet you, Stephanie. I followed you for many of years. My clients that are coming, this is who they are. This is what they do. And this is what they're looking for." As soon as they got to the house, he said, the reason why I wanted you all to meet Stephanie and see one of her homes is because this is what she does. And I know you appreciate that. It was a small thing. It was about trim and the customization of it and how it's there. But I loved him for it. And I wanted to pay him that 3% cooperating commission so bad because I appreciated it. So it's taking note as to what people are doing, what these developers are doing, what these builders are doing, and making them feel great about it. That's how you get in. And Bradley, who got that sale, like I said, he's less than 2 years in the business, but I am so grateful to have to pay him that commission, because that's what most builders think, have to pay a commission, right? I love it though. I'd pay him twice. I appreciated it that much.
You've referenced a couple of thoughts, and I want to pause now. We're about halfway through, and I want to pause right now and capture some of the essence of what you shared. Agree or disagree, I think you'd agree with the concept that there is no substitute for effort.
That's right.
There's no substitute for consistency.
That's right.
There's no substitute for compliments.
That's right.
And there's no substitute for getting your hands dirty. And I mean that in the right way, not the wrong way.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Majority of time, here's the thing, coming from a builder developer, coming from a seller, coming from all the things we are in real estate, because I do play all those roles. We see through you when we know you haven't done the work, right? And so when you've done that little bit of work, and I'm not talking hours and hours of effort, I'm talking just do a drive-through, just understand, right? Just do a little bit of research. We appreciate that. And that's the same thing as it relates to any client out there, or any agent you're trying to attract for that matter.
Let's jump to one of my favorite subjects, which is why most agents move brokerages. They're looking for leads. here at EXP, we've got this Ferrari called kvCore.
I love it.
Call it a
Yes.
Ferrari because most people, they look at it and go, wow, look at what it can do. They just have no idea how to do it. So as we talked earlier, Freedom Team, our group, has decided that we're going to launch a training program for all people that are interested in learning how to generate their own leads through kvCore. And you can find out, again, how to do that through freedomteamsupport.com and just go to the tab that says kvCore. But I know that you have been utilizing kvCore for a while now, and it has worked very well for you, both individually and the team program. Can you speak to kvCore for a minute and put your stamp of approval on it? And the reason I want you to put your stamp of approval on it is because the people that are listening to this right now, whether it be live or recorded, I want you to know that this is the beginning of 2023. And if you're listening to this at the beginning again of 2024, and you don't have generated your own leads, and you're not happy about the influx of information coming in and buyers and sellers, and you're not in the business at that point of not only cherry picking the ones you want, but then referring out the ones that you don't, then you've missed what Stephanie's about to say. Tell us a little bit about your confidence in kvCore.
You know, Eric, I have never been that agent that has ever bought or purchased leads. It was something that I just wasn't going to do. Okay. And so when we came to EXP in 2018, you know, there was no EXP commercial. It was EXP Realty, and kvCore is built around residential real estate. And so I wanted to learn it because I needed to understand all the tools that existed within EXP, especially if I'm going to be speaking EXP to other agents that I want to come into our company. And so one of the things that I identified in kvCore is that if you have a ton of business already, or if you have zero business, meaning you have no listings, you have nothing to promote, you have no way to get buyers to call you because you have no signs in the yard, nor do you have your own listings out there on a website, kvCore is built for all of those. So for the extreme producers and for somebody doing nothing, it's built for that. And it's because you have this ability to build these squeeze pages, so to speak, to build the link, put it out on your social media, and all of a sudden it looks like you have inventory and you're promoting. And then all of a sudden potential buyers are clicking, wanting to see what's for sale where. And so when I discovered this, every brand spanking new agent that came to me, or even agents that had been in the business for 2 or so years, but hadn't done any transactions or did very little transactions, I would say, here's what I want you to do first. After you join EXP, we're going to get your kvCore set up, number one, because all I want you to focus on, aside from tuning into state meetings and paying attention to what your broker says, I want you to build these squeeze pages, and I want you to put this out on social media, because this is how you're going to get your phone to ring. So maybe you utilize it to, on Saturdays, you post all the Sunday open houses for whatever area, right? And just give people a reason to be clicking on. So Andy Mitri, I don't know if he's here today. I can't scroll through the list, and I know he'll watch it later, but I'm going to brag on him for a second. I'll never forget the day I get his random call. He's at an independent brokerage in Louisville, Kentucky. He shows up, he's got a full-time job with Walgreens, and he's like a GM of this whole big, massive region. So he's making, a 6-figure salary, but he got his real estate license because he wanted to get out of corporate America, okay? And so he was paying $400 or $500 a month in Zillow, but it wasn't doing anything for him. So I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get on. I want you to call Zillow and just cancel. I want you to onboard to EXP. And then I want you to do this thing on kvCore every single day. Within 18 months, within 6 months, he quit Walgreens and left his corporate job. Within 18 months, he was an icon agent here at EXP, and he's done nothing but scale ever since. That is the power of kvCore. Guys, he'll tell you he went from 0 to doing 40 transactions in 18 months and didn't pay a dime, because it's a tool we give at EXP. And so if it costs you a couple $100 or whatever, I don't care if it doesn't cost this. I don't know what it costs, Eric. Maybe you can say it, but even if it costs you $1,000 to spend $1,000 to set it up legitimately with all your campaigns working for you to turn around and sell 40 houses, it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. If you want to invest the time and do it, but utilize these tools because that alone is masterful. There's a Remax agent in my market who's spending $600 plus a month to have kvCore because she's not at EXP for whatever reason, right? For whatever reason. But I mean, take advantage of that and learn it enough so that you can speak it to those that you're bringing into this business, because now's the time, right? This is the time. People are making moves. Start having those conversations. And that's a big tool to promote. There's an agent in Ohio. She's probably on this call, or maybe not. She'll watch it later. Monica, I'm at Sprint in EXP. And I go, Monica, what's your number one? How are you number one in Ohio for all houses sold? Number one in Ohio. She uses the kvCore promote button. You know, you go in, you select a property, you click this to push it up in the list. $60. She said, she goes, Stephanie, I spend $60 a week and I make 6,000. Exactly what she says. And I love it because she's just utilizing kvCore. She's number one in Ohio, you all. Number one.
I love saying to people that if they would just do the things that don't take talent, success would find them. Success is at the other end of just doing the right things. So one of the right things as an agent, because we only get paid to do three things: listing homes, showing homes, and negotiating contracts. So how do you do that? You got to have people to do it with. So kvCore delivers clients to you, but you've got to, as we said earlier, do some of the things that make kvCore run. One of them is setting it up. We can help you do that. One of them is learning how to use it. We can help you do that. So again, I recommend everybody go to freedomteamsupport.com, look at the kvCore button, and again, it'll explain specifically and directly what it will do. Some of you are so busy, you're like, I want to set it up, but I can't maintain it on a daily basis and all that. We got you. We got a program for you as well. Let's shift real quickly, Stephanie, for a moment, as we've got a few minutes left still. I want to talk about the market and agents that are not at EXP. If you had to break it down in percentage, do you think that our growth, which has been meteoric, historic, we're still 500 to 1,000 agents a week coming in, 80,000 agents over the last 4 to 4.5 years have come to this company. And we both know, you and I, that we haven't slowed down and we're not stopping. So here's my question for you. You recruit agents and attract agents all over the country. Has everybody seen EXP at this point?
No, gosh, no. No, absolutely not.
So if they haven't seen them, what would you say to an agent that you come across if you want to introduce them to the concept of looking at EXP?
You know, and everybody has a different way of doing this. And I've got about 5 different ways, Eric. But, you know, my goal when I do a reach out for an agent is to never just jump right into EXP. That's just not my way of doing it. It's not because I'm right. It's just my way, right? And so I always want to find out about them. And so and I have this call all day long, every single week, is as I reach out and I say, look, it looks like you're doing pretty good. You know, talk to me about your business right now. What are the upcoming changes that you're looking for? I always want to find out what is their problem, right? What is the problem that they're seeing? Because here's the thing, nobody's world is perfect, right? Even if they're out there selling 600 houses, their worlds aren't perfect. So just remember that. But I want to learn about their business. And then if they don't come right out and tell me what their problems are, I say, if you could change something about your business right now, what would it be to improve it? And then that's when I say, and this has always been my rule, you guys, this is always my rule. When I get approached for anything, I always walk through the door, always walk through the door. You never just say no. And so I ask permission. I ask them permission and I say, listen, Julie, I think we can solve that problem in your business. I've always had this rule where I always walk through the door to see what's on the other side. Can I walk you through that door right now and show you the solution for that? So I ask permission. I always ask permission before I go somewhere. It works. It works. It may not work that day, but it'll work 6 months later or a year later. So you remember those people, but you've got to walk them through that door. I would never be at EXP if and he's not on this call, or maybe he is. I don't know if my sponsor's on here or not, but Sean and Eric and Tim and everybody know this story. If some yahoo didn't have the balls to pick up the phone and call Stephanie Gilezan, and he challenged me with getting me just a little bit uncomfortable. We are all at our weakest when we're a little uncomfortable. So it's okay to make people uncomfortable. And that when I wasn't 100% comfortable in my own skin is when I walked through that door with him. And that's why I'm here at EXP. You don't have to know how to sell 100 commercial properties or 100 residential properties to show this model and get people to walk through that door with you. That's rule number one. You don't have to have ever done the first thing in real estate to get people to understand that. All you have to do is find out the hiccups in their business and how taking those hiccups and relating it to this model is what that solution is. That's all you got to do.
We talked briefly about attracting agents, and the timing is still better than ever to be able to do that, as we're still bringing in. I talked to Jason Gessing last week. 3,900 agents joined us last month. So, we're still adding agents to the mix. Let's talk about the production side, because again, 88% of our agents never come to talk to other agents. Only about 12% do. 88% come without a doubt because of the transaction value and the financial strength of doing EXP the right way. Every Tuesday, we do a private training for the Freedom Team, 10 o'clock Central, under our normal link. It's every week. And we train agents what to do today to bring in business today. So Stephanie, because you're such a training-oriented person, you want people to get up to speed on things they need. Yesterday was Tuesday. We had 55 to 100 agents wanting to know yesterday what they can do to move their business forward. What I want you to talk about briefly is the fact that everybody can do anything for 1 hour on a Tuesday, but spending that 1 hour with us on a Tuesday makes their business grow. Can you talk briefly about breaking habits? The habit that they're not used to being on that call. They're not used to talking to an agent about coming to EXP. They're not used to waking up early, because you're a person that's created incredible habits. And because of it, you attract people.
That's right.
And you work with people who don't have the same habit situations that you do. So when you have people you're working with who don't have the habits they need, and this is the biggest problem for everybody watching right now, you don't have the habits to produce the volume you want. You don't have the habits to produce the agents to come to your group. You don't have the habits to make the kind of money you want to make. How do you work with people who don't have those habits?
I make them start scheduling it, because you can create that habit by just putting it on your calendar. You know that that's the time you're going to be on those calls, right? It's no different than if you have a doctor's appointment or a listing appointment. You don't miss those, do you? Because if you miss those, something might happen to your health, or you're definitely not going to get the listing if you don't show up. So schedule those, because they are just as important as anything else you do in this world to improve your financial situation. And so how I have made habits for myself is and I still do this today. I have a habit of putting it on my calendar. If it's on my calendar, it's the Bible. It's the rule. If I break that appointment, I've lost something, right? So put it on your calendar. Hold yourself accountable. Show up and actually do it, and don't find that reason, because I'm telling you, I am great at what I do because I surround myself with people like you. And so when we all show up to something, I still learn from everybody. And I have a lot of great nuggets to drop, just like Eric and Sean and Kathy and Jeff and Tim do as well. And everybody else on this call, right? I mean, that's what we're there to do, is better one another. So get in the habit of putting this on your calendar, and then knowing that that calendar appointment to show up for Freedom Team or whatever it is you're doing is just as important if you didn't show up to a listing appointment, right? Do that every single day. Every single day, anybody can open up and look at my calendar. It has everything on it. I even put my lunch on there, because if I don't eat, right? So I schedule everything. I woke up every single morning at 20 years old, not knowing what the hell I was going to do to pay my bills. And I had it on my calendar. Even back then, from 8 to 10, I'm making cold calls. I then had on my calendar from 11 to 1, I'm driving these developments. I did that consistently and never gave up. Just like on Tuesdays at 10, I showed up to Carl Cox, his office, and broke down that freaking wall.
And you broke it down. I mean, you blasted it. It's not even in existence anymore.
Right.
So as we begin to close, there are always some final thoughts. I have a couple. I'll ask you a question or two. But you decided, it was a call that you and Tim, and thank you, Tim Hollenden, for having the connection to Stephanie to be able to have the conversation, to ask her to join our group, because it really worked that way. For the last year, we've developed something called the Freedom Team, and we're pretty proud of the platform that we have. Every day at 10 o'clock Central, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have something for an hour on the same link. We have something for the agents in Freedom Team in order to move their business ahead. But one of the reasons that we asked you to come as part of the leadership group is so you can help us what we're looking for the next year. And one of the key things we're all looking for is better traction to our group. Can you speak to that for a moment or two?
Absolutely. My goal this year is to help every single agent that I possibly can be successful. And it is so much easier to do when we have it organized into something, right? That's why there's the workplace group. That's why there's the emails that go out, the text messages, the morning videos that the team leaders are sending out as a reminder. But when you have a great support system that you can plug your people into, not only do we all elevate and scale, but we also feel really confident when we attract the agent to eXp that they're going to get that continued white glove service. How many times have you guys been, and this happened to me yesterday with somebody in Minnesota who's bringing on 2 KW agents. Before they make the decision, they're saying, wait, does your upline provide coaching? So she's texting me, do we provide coaching? I go, oh my God, we have so much training that's happening. We have so much getting ready to be unleashed in 2023. I don't care what their specialty is as it relates to real estate or business opportunities or whatever, we've got you covered. The Freedom Team is making sure that we have, because the eXp covers a lot, you all, but it's also our organization and making sure that we're covering it too, right? And making it available so that you can plug your people right in. Did I answer that all right, Eric? Because I was worried I got off topic.
Well, here's the good news. Any information you share is good for people that are wanting good information.
Good.
Right? As a group, and I'll begin to close this out, and then any final thoughts to you. As a group, the Freedom Team is a fairly well-oiled machine. Now all people have to do is get in and start driving it.
That's right.
And so So adding you to this leadership group allows us a fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of thoughts. Not that
That's
the
right.
rest of us are stale, because we're not. We're growing it consistently. Kim Herrera, our chief admin, is doing an incredible job with whiteboard the onboarding. And more importantly, again, the whole development of this kvCore piece was because we've researched all the programs out there and brought together at a very cost-effective number the ability for anyone to get leads without having to pay for them any longer. So here's what I'd like you to close. I'll be a specific question, and then you can carry it any way you want. We'll close when you conclude. You could have decided to launch your own training group, your own labeled group, but you decided to do that with us because we, again, synergistically, we're part of the same leadership group. But secondarily, you've worked with us for a while, right? You know us fairly well. Can you speak for a moment, and this is the specific question, for a moment about who you work with is more important often than what you're specifically doing? Because a rising tide raises all ships. And if they will just plug into what our 6 leadership people, what we've designed, and again, if you've got your business on steroids, if it's already blowing and going, you probably aren't on today's call anyway. But my guess is you came here today wanting more than you presently have. So can you talk about just plugging in, riding in our boat, riding on our sails, setting their sails in the same direction, because the wind's going to blow on all of us. But if you don't set the sails in the right direction, you're going to end up with a world of hurt. Can you end today with the concept of you joined our leadership group because this is the group that's going to help everybody win in 2023?
100%. And Eric's right. I thought about doing this and just by myself in a way with this organization. But then I thought, you know what? That's one perspective. That's one thought of ideas. And like I told you before, we're great by who we surround ourselves with, right? And so this Freedom Team, which they have done a phenomenal job building it out, systems in place, CRM Grow, if you want to plug in, the kvCore, all of those things necessary, but it's also 6 different perspectives, 6 different styles, 6 different knowledge base. So what's great is this organization of 3,000 people can listen to all 6 of us, pick and decide what's comfortable, use them all. You make the decision of what jives with you, right? I built the team in real estate a long time ago because guess what? This person doesn't work good with everybody, not every seller, right? And so I was smart to recognize that I don't work with everybody, but I still want to work with everybody. And so when you build an organization and you have all these contributing factors, that's when it becomes successful. And to get you all 6 different perspectives to make you great in all aspects of what you want greatness in, whether it's growing your residential business, growing your commercial business, finding referral partners, building out your agent attraction so that you can see the revenue share benefits, whatever the case might be, that's what we're bringing to you. Everything that we know what to do to pivot, instead of you figuring it out on your own, we want to just share it with you, right? I mean, 24 years in this business, I didn't do it all just to go lay down one day and call it even and leave my kids a shit ton of money. I want to share it back with everybody because that's what makes us great. I came to EXP and the deal was the original plan was for me to bring my brokerage and me just be an agent. And then I was asked to be the Kentucky designated managing broker. And I went, oh God, the last thing I want to do is I had already done it for 20 years. I was responsible for 20 years. The last thing I wanted to do, but then I knew I had to do it. Why? Because for whatever reason, I love to win, but I want everyone around me to win. And I've had this servant's heart. And so if I'm not giving back my knowledge, I feel incomplete. And that's what the other 5 leaders of Freedom Team also share, is that same commonality. And that's why we're here, to keep this the best and help you become the best. You know, I went on from Kentucky designated managing broker to being a regional operations manager to being all kinds of different positions inside of EXP. I'm glad that this year I don't have those positions. Now I have you.
Well, to close out, we're glad that you've made that decision as well, and you've chosen us. The people who are within our group, they didn't know that they were choosing the Freedom Team necessarily when they came in, but you get all of EXP plus all of us as well. Look, I've been doing these for the last 7 or 8 months. It's been a pleasure every time I get an executive or an icon or a mega agent, but it has been just a pleasure today, not only to hear your knowledge and experience, but feel your heart.
Thank you.
There's nobody today that hasn't been touched by your enthusiasm, not only to move your business ahead, but to truly move all of our businesses ahead. And you've done that today, Ms. Gilezan. Thank you so much for doing that. Do you have a closing thought?
Here's one thing that I want to make sure everybody does. If somebody in your organization here at EXP Freedom Team wasn't on this call today, I want you to make sure that you share this information with them in some way, shape, or form. Number 2, make sure you're plugged into the Workplace Freedom Team group, because we will be giving all kinds of great nuggets in those groups as time goes on. And then here's the other thing. If you need us, you've got 6 of us that you can rely on, right? And if you need us, work chat us, use Workplace and work chat us. And here's why. I've got almost $1 billion in listings right now. My phone rings off the hook. But I know that if you work chat me, 1, you're at EXP, 2, you're in my organization, and 3, you need me and I want to answer you. And so does all the other leaders here at Freedom Team.
Thanks, Stephanie, for Gilezan Global. It's been an honor to interview you today, more importantly, to be able to work with you. And I'm just looking forward to 2023. It's going to be amazing.